G'day there. This is the Agenda Podcast Underarm special with myself, ACC Hodaki here, G Lane, Matt Heath, and Jeremy Wells. 40 years today.
Wow. 40 years.
That infamous underarm incident at the MCG.
Hey, do you know people think that this incident did a lot to actually popularise cricket in New Zealand?
Yeah, I was listening to the BYC podcast. They talked to Martin Snedden, and he said at the time cricket and golf was more popular than, golf and tennis were more popular than cricket at the time.
Wow.
And after this incident, it actually made cricket, one of the turning points in cricket's popularity.
Still hurts today, though, doesn't it? Let's be honest, it still hurts.
It's as raw as it was in 1982.
I was very young. I can't remember it. In fact, I was 3. But what we're going to do now, today, we're going to re-watch this final over. We're going to watch all 6 balls.
I don't know.
And we're going to pick it to pieces. I know it's
raw
raw for you, Jerry.
I don't know if I can do this.
You're all of 4 or 5.
I don't know if I can do this again.
It's
too soon?
I lived through this.
We're going to do it. We did it with the World Cup final.
Okay.
And we're doing it again.
All right.
You understand, this is one of my first sporting memories. This is one of them.
And did this turn you on to cricket?
It was, well, I remember we were actually at the Mount. We were on holiday at the Mount when this happened. And I don't know if it turned me on to cricket, but I remember we did play a lot of backyard cricket, my dad, my brother and I, over this particular summer. Is when I started being interested in cricket, whether or not this had anything to do with it. But I've never watched this underarm before. No, I've never seen it. I've purposely made sure I saw it when I was 4, and then I just turned myself away from it. Whenever I see it, I close my eyes.
Lock the doors.
Here we go.
Lock the doors, because this over, there's a lot goes on in this over. It is a lot goes on. So let's get into it.
Richard Hadley, and will he be able to perform the miracle New Zealand so badly needs?
So he's facing Trevor Chappell.
Demon Hadley.
It's a dibbly-dobbly. Look at him. Hadley, no helmet. Boom!
He hit it well. It's going to mix Walker. And that's 4.
See, good start to to the over.
Wow.
So how many do they need at this point?
So great start to the over. Richard Hadley, without his helmet on, gets served up what looks like a juicy half volley from Trevor Chappell and smashes him over mid-on.
So this pitch at the MCG, famous for being slow and low. That summer, it was a hot summer. And this day, I think, was a particularly hot day. I think in the 40s.
Yeah, well, that was a good start, and we'll find out.
But hang on, I don't know what's the score. How many do they need? What's the equation at this point?
Well, they didn't used to tell you in those days. You didn't really know what was going on the whole time.
Because all we know that on that last ball, needed 6 off the last ball.
To tie.
Yeah, so only 6 to tie.
Yeah.
Which just makes how ridiculous.
I feel like they needed 15 off the over, but I might be wrong. It might be 11.
Yeah.
Anyway,
which was impossible back then.
But also great to such disrespect for Trevor Chappell, with Richard Hadley coming out with not a hat on, not a helmet on.
No, you didn't wear hats in those days. If you weren't wearing a helmet, and they did have weird hats in 1981, but weird helmets. But if you didn't wear a helmet, then you just wore no hat at all.
Required for victory. 5 balls to be bowled.
Most people in the audience knew.
Victory? We missed that.
Oh, can we go back?
Yeah, we'll go back.
Go back. There's the equation. There's no graphics on the screen back then. There's 6 for 225 at this point.
Yeah, but that's
they haven't changed
a rogue
it yet.
scoreboard.
How do you go back, Shucks?
Just go back on the trigger on this. Here we go. Yeah. That should make you go back.
Okay, well, mate.
Greg Chappell's got to get Max Walker out of that position. That's Hadley's favourite hitting position.
Trevor Chappell.
Second ball.
That is not out.
That is not out.
That pitched outside. Okay, so Trevor Chappell.
Hey, describe that delivery, Jeremy.
Well, Trevor Chappell's bowled that delivery. He's bowling over the wicket to Richard Hadley, left-hander. And it's pitched outside leg. It's probably hit him in line with a leg stump.
And it's also quite high.
It's high.
That was not and straight up.
It's not. It's clearly not.
Umpire Wesser, he is an a-hole.
It's hitting the wickets, right? There's no doubt about that. But if it pitches outside leg, it can't be out LBW.
Let's look at the replay.
Here we go.
I think that was going over the top.
No, even below.
Let's look at the replay. Wesser is such an asshole.
Well, Richard Hadley, he wouldn't be over thrilled about that. He's been struggling all season to get an LBW himself. On this occasion.
Oh God, that is pitched so far outside leg.
Might have just pitched outside leg stump.
Rod Marsh is down the leg side. Rod Marsh, where he's standing, where I've paused it right there.
Yeah.
Is that a wicketkeeper who thinks it's hitting the wickets?
No, it definitely would have. I think it would have hit leg stump because it nipped It nipped away from Richard Hadley, but there is no way that it was
but-
shaped the wrong way.
And look how quickly he puts his finger up. Immediately, no deliberation at all.
Watch the finger.
But I think that Richard Hadley could justifiably
Terrible decision. That's a shocker.
a bit annoyed at that decision, particularly with all the troubles that he's had getting an LBW himself.
So,
Richard Hadley,
11
LBW
to win. We
Trevor
needed
Chapman
15 to
4,
win.
New Zealand
4 off
7
the first
to
ball. Good
225.
start.
And Ian
4
Smith.
balls remaining.
Ian David Stockley Smith,
11
a
runs
very
required for
slim
victory.
looking Ian
Must be the
David
best
Stockley,
effort.
very
That would be a
slight
draw,
looking
2
man
balls
in
and
those
2.
days, Ian Smith.
11
Not
off,
a big
11
hitter.
off 4. Yeah, that's doable these days, isn't it? 11 off 4.
Really, it's a
Very
balls.
doable.
11 off 4.
Very doable.
you'd
Well, not
say.
back then, it wasn't.
No, that was very hard in those days.
Anything over a run of ball was considered impossible, wasn't it?
Hit an awful big 6 off Dennis Lilly at
But
the Sydney
possible.
cricket ground.
But hard.
He could
Full
hit a
balls.
ball. He could hit a
Yep.
ball, Ian Smith.
That's a very tight
No
He
doubt
looks-
about that.
he
God,
looks
he's hot.
nervous.
He's quite hot.
He's a good-looking man.
He's looking hot, Ian Smith.
National,
I would have had a crack at Ian Smith
Yeah,
in
look at that
1981.
against a bowler
But then
who
again,
is
I'd still have a
also
crack at
not
Ian Smith
greatly
now,
experienced in international
2021.
cricket.
He's looking better
Oh,
than
here
ever.
you go.
Here we go.
Third ball.
11 runs.
Dibbly
Needed.
dobbly.
What can Ian Smith
Feels
do?
it everywhere.
Oh, he hits
Hit it
that.
well.
It's a
Go for
Yorker.
2.
Through mid-wicket, and they'll come back for
They
2.
get it.
Good work.
So 9. 9 to
wickets
win off
man.
3.
9 off 3.
Like nowadays, you'd be like
Stumping
advantage bat,
for the run through.
Yeah.
but then unlikely.
He's hit that, and that's runs. That's at least one.
That's
He'll
his
probably go for a
French
second.
Gotta go
cut.
for
Just
2.
a
Go,
minute.
go, go.
Come back for 2.
going.
Oh,
He's
Oh,
made it.
he's safe.
He's home.
he's
What a
safe.
great effort.
Well done.
Oh, great
okay.
dive.
Well done.
All right.
Crowd is stunned.
That's now Ian Smith. Do you reckon
Fine
in
running
2021 he
between the
would have made that
wickets.
second?
Tremendous
Do you reckon he would have made the second
That-
now?
How many ones is he turning into 2s now?
Yeah.
How many 2s is he turning into 3s?
Not a lot.
How
But
many 3s is he turning into no runs at all, dots?
controversial, though, because you think about it, at the other end is Bruce Edgar on 102. Do you feed the strike to him, or is it all about runs, or is Stockley Smith the one to get us home?
I think he's the bigger hitter, Stockley Smith, isn't he, than Bootsy?
I would have given. I mean, yeah, Bootsy wasn't a big hitter,
Yeah,
but he is
true.
on 100. But look, there was no strategy to one-day cricket in 1981. I mean, it was only new. They'd only just got into the coloured clothes a few years before that, so nobody really knew. This would have been, and this is a high-pressure environment. Full house at the MCG.
So what are we looking at here? We're looking at
You now need
7 off 2 balls, and let's look at a tie.
7
6
off 2.
balls for a tie. 7 off 2 balls for a win for New
now.
Zealand.
Now this is a controversial shot here from
He's got the scoop.
Stockley Smith.
he's got the Grey Nichols scoop.
Missed the batsman.
Come on.
52,000
Come on,
people
Stockley.
in front of their seats.
Come on.
Oh, he's bowled him. Well, he needed to hit it for 4, and he's wobbed across the line and lifted his head, and he's.
When you
been-
remember, I remember we were interviewing
Oh no.
Ian Smith about this, probably at the
I think-
another anniversary.
This may have been the last time he ever spoke a word to either of you.
Yeah, he really turned on us. That's why he hates us now. But you said, "What kind of shot was that?" And you really had a go at him. And he goes, "Oh, what kind of shot would you have played?" And he really came back at you.
I would have played exactly that shot.
Well,
to be
let's have a
fair.
look at it in the
That's a good
replay
point.
here. Let's have a look.
He rolls the eyes back.
It was there to hit, though. Jeez.
Yeah.
He really didn't. The problem was he gave himself a bit of room. And he
So
did
much
not need
nudity.
to give himself some room. He just needed to advance down the track. Although Rod Masters is standing up.
Here we go. So, actually, it was a good length.
It
wasn't
kept
it?
Hardly
low,
bound. It
kept
does
low.
hardly. It hits the stumps low, doesn't it?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Ian David Stockley
Yeah.
Smith. I did judge you for that shot, but it wasn't a bad shot,
He,
really.
he was playing it like it was going to bounce properly.
It didn't
And he
bounce.
didn't-
No,
God,
no,
that did not even bounce.
No.
He didn't
sorry.
miss it by much either.
Are you,
That's
is this,
unlucky.
are you,
That's
are you
an apology
making
to
it
Ian
official?
David
Okay.
Stockley Smith.
Ian David Stockley Smith, I formally apologise for anything I ever said about what a shot. There's nothing wrong with that shot. In fact, if it had have bounced in a regular fashion, you probably would have hit it for 6.
What about your KFC comments? Are you going to
I
apologise
know, let's
about
move
those
on.
as
Let's
well?
move on.
Just under halfway. up the
So,
stumps.
this is where everything gets
Ian Smith
interesting.
is out,
6
bowled
for
Trevor
the tie.
Chapman 4,
Brian
down
McKechnie,
for 229,
double international,
and
coming
New
out to
Zealand's
bat, not
only
known
hope
for
now
his big hitting.
is
Brian
that
McKechnie
6
involved in 2
for
hugely
the last ball for a
controversial
tie.
moments, isn't he?
Yeah,
Because he was also involved in the Welsh jumping out of the line out.
and he kicked the
He
penalty.
kicked the penalty.
So here we go. The conversation is happening here between Trevor and his brother Greg,
That's right.
and gives him a little tap on the arse there. You just see that little tap? He goes, "Go on, mate." And now the umpires are coming together, telling each other, little cheating motherfuckers,
What are they telling each other?
they're saying that they're going to bowl underarm.
Discussion.
Oh,
So, yeah.
McKechnie's thrown his bat.
Looks to me as if they're going to bowl
McKechnie,
underarm
who's
off the
operating
last
quite a
ball.
good package, by the way, I've noticed.
Rod Marsh is saying no, mate.
He
But I'm sure
is
he's
not
going to
happy
bowl
about it.
an
Rod
underarm
Marsh not
delivery.
happy about it.
So listening to the BYC podcast again with Martin Sneddon, he said, look, Rod Marsh, great guy that he's folding his arms saying, nah, mate, don't do it.
Yeah.
But he could have stopped it. He could have walked up the pitch and he could have said, don't do it, mate. Don't. But he sat behind the stumps and
Folded
shook
his
his head. Also, as Martin Sneddon said, everyone knows you don't bowl underarm. Everyone knows that. The umpires could have stopped it themselves.
Yeah, but hold on, Rod
But it was
Marsh,
in the rules.
I'm not blaming Rod Marsh for getting up from. I mean, he just stood there. He said no. I mean, what else can you do? He's his
Well,
captain.
You can walk out and say, don't do this. This
Yeah,
is
but
stupid.
he showed that he wasn't into it. But I mean, it's his captain. I don't know. It was a different time.
But,
It was
hang
a
on,
different
but hadn't they changed before we do it? Hadn't they gone through the rules and they'd looked at it, hadn't they? And they'd seen that the underarm bowl was legal. Yeah, so it's still legal in Australia.
Yeah,
and
banned
there'd
in
been a
England.
lot of tension and pressure on the team. And for some reason, hadn't it been brought up in a meeting?
No,
so
no.
it was in his head.
That's right. No, it was Greg Chappell had
Yeah.
noticed that
Yeah.
was in the rules, and they had discussed it.
Yeah.
It's just a point of
Yeah.
he was a cricket nerd, Greg
Yeah.
Chappell.
well,
so
okay, let's get into it. Here it is. McKechnie currently has no bat in his hand. He's out at square leg.
yeah, well,
Uh,
he's not going to do very well without a bat. In his
no,
hand.
he's not.
Pick up
He's,
the
he's
bat,
thrown it.
Brian.
Bowled along
He's
the
thrown his
ground.
toys.
There you go.
Be sure that it has not been hit for six.
Can I just say,
The crowd are starting to get wind of what's going on there.
And this is possibly a little bit disappointing.
Possibly
a little bit disappointing.
One of the greatest understatements ever from Bill Laurie there. But taking nothing away from Trevor Chappell. I've met him. He is a real good bastard. He is one of the greatest Australians.
Well, it wasn't really his fault either,
No,
was it?
I know. But just saying, he's not the villain here.
No.
Greg
no.
Chappell is.
Greg.
Let's make
Here we
sure
go.
it is an underarm, but I've got the feeling.
See,
Hey, but can we stop it here for a second? You own this ball.
Yes.
You
this ball. I got this ball.
You bought this ball that's about to be bowled
Yeah,
here, didn't you?
it's been
For
hit.
what? How much did you pay? 10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand. Yep.
Yep.
It
You've
was quite a
done
long time
terrible
ago.
things to
It
it.
was 15 years ago.
Yeah, you've done.
Skipper
Here you go. Here we go.
going to bowl an underarm. You ever believed it?
Now, he's
was
bowled
that
back.
going down leg?
Yes.
yeah.
Is that going down leg? Would
Yeah.
he have got a wide if he'd left that?
I reckon if he'd stepped inside it, that would have missed leg stump.
And called a wide?
Yeah.
I'd be a lot of pressure for me to rolling straight. That's quite a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even if you just lawn bowls, because you've got the seam of the cricket ball.
Yeah.
I think that might have gone
so
down
you're
leg.
saying going down leg could have been a wide.
Yeah.
Now this is the most infamous for me that I remember the most. McKechnie, he's just chucked his bat, and Bruce Edgar, arms folded, right next to the bowler, casual 2 fingers while still in his gloves. So that he's just raised the 2 fingers
Yeah, in
to
those
treble.
days, that was what you did. It was 2 fingers.
2
in those
fingers.
days,
He's
not
Up
one.
yours.
He's still got the gloves on, and he's just done the casual fingers into Trevor Chappell's face. It's one of the greatest.
That's a disappointing finish.
McKechnie hefts his bat
Disappointed, Brian.
and then picks it up,
Crowd
loses
too.
because he didn't want to lose his bat.
Okay, and
50 overs.
here
New
comes
Zealand, 8 for
here comes
229.
Jeff Howarth.
Yeah.
Jeff Howarth comes
Wearing a
running
pair-
out onto
wearing
the
a pair of
field.
socks.
He's got no shoes on.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Has he got a shirt on? I think he might have no top
Yeah,
on.
wait for him.
What's going on?
Wait for him to come out. Here he comes.
Very
There he goes, running past. That is Jeff Howarth running past there with no shoes on. Now Jeff Howarth has just come back from a season of county cricket, and in England it's banned.
Right.
So he's of the belief that that was an illegal delivery because obviously he probably didn't know that it was still legal in Australia. So he's run out. He's still doing his pants up. Apparently, picking if you look closely, he's got plaster in his hair because he had thrown something into the roof of the changing room and it had dislodged a tile in the roof and he was covered in plaster.
How many gins was he down
Oh,
deep?
thousands.
Disappointed.
So look,
Who's
so they
that going?
stop. So they stop.
Because they think
McKechnie
maybe
and
we're
Edgar.
going to get another ball.
Yeah.
here.
Yes. So they stop because I think Jeff Howarth run past and says, "You stay the fuck here. This is illegal."
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he gets told by umpers to go stick it. So
Yeah.
At the moment, Towers coming onto the field.
look at the kids on the field congratulating
One of the
him.
New
There you
Zealanders
go.
is disappointed.
See,
And
there is Jeff Howarth
Yeah.
laying it
more
down to Wesser, the
disappointed than
cheating
their
piece
skipper,
of
Jeffrey
shit.
Howard. There he is now.
Sorry, mate,
talking
that's
with
in
the
the
two
rules. It's
umpires,
just the way it
umpires
is.
Cronin and Weezer. And I know
Weezer.
exactly
How did the
reason
umpires
he's
know it
out
was in the
there.
rules?
He's played his
Weezer.
cricket over in the United
There you go.
Kingdom with Surrey for
Oh,
a number
okay,
of
angry he
years.
is.
And the Benson and Hedges domestic competition there is a series of rules designed to make the game flow freely and to avoid incidents such as the one that happened here today.
Good
Now
looking man.
there is the relevant rule on page 2, and it says that no bowler shall be permitted to bowl underarm, and that's what Jeffrey Howarth is out there talking to them about. it is not in the Australian Benson Hedges World Series Cup rules because the administrators didn't put it in. I hope they put it in by tomorrow morning. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of criticism for what was a disgraceful performance out there today. The other thing is that the reason it all happened, in my opinion, is that the captain got his sums wrong.
Yeah.
Now, from over number 42, we were saying in the commentary box that he'd made a nonsense of it, and that he was going to be in trouble having Lilly bowl the 50th over, which was the ideal thing to do. You must have your best bowler bowl the 50th over. And Lily Marsh and Greg Chappell and Hughes were there counting on their fingers trying to work out who should bowl 46, 7, 8, 9 and 50. As it turned out, the sums were done so badly that Trevor Chappell was left to bowl the 50th over, and that's how it all happened. It was panic stations, and then when McKechnie had to hit a six.
This is, before we get into this is one of the greatest raps of a one-day international you will ever hear from Richie Benaud, and the way he signs off is magnificent.
Off the last ball, just to tie, mind you, not to win, just to tie. Then the panic became real, and they made certain that New Zealand couldn't tie the match. Now, everyone around Australia will have their own ideas on that, and we always get letters and phone calls about different things that happen, so I don't expect anyone to agree with me. I don't expect that you'll get more than 50% agreement on anything. Let me just tell you what I think about it. I think it was a disgraceful performance from a captain who got his sums wrong today, and I think it should never be permitted to happen again. We keep reading and hearing that the players are under a lot of pressure and that they're tired and jaded and perhaps their judgment and their skill is blunted. Well, perhaps they might advance that as an excuse for what happened out there today. Not with me, they don't. I think it was a very poor performance, one of the worst things I have ever seen done on a cricket field. Good night.
Good night.
Wow.
How good's that?
And he made that comment, that was at the time.
Yeah.
That wasn't with any kind of
that was
benefit
live,
of hindsight.
Yeah.
That was live, and he got it right, Richie Benaud, most of the time, didn't he?
That's interesting, that, because I never understood. I've heard that a lot. I don't understand what he meant by he's got his sums wrong. I thought that was a saying like he's got this wrong. But what he's actually referring to is the sums of the amount of overs the bowler's wrong.
That still hurt. I mean, that's opening a can of worms for me.
You're okay?
Can I see that? Why do I have to see that?
Well, because everyone has to at some stage.
Can I open another can of worms?
No.
Well, I've got a can of worms because there's been Australians that have said that an Australian wouldn't have just blocked the ball and then hiffed the bat like McKechnie done. He would have attempted to flick it up with his foot and then smash it for six.
At the MCG.
The MCG.
So a ball with no pace coming at you, you're basically trying to changer it for six. That is, I don't
put up a big changer.
Let me tell you something. If Brian McKechnie flicked that ball up with his foot and it then looped up and then he swung it over deep mid-wicket for six at the MCG, it would have been the greatest moment of sport of all time.
He would be called Sir Brian McKechnie.
Could you imagine that? They delivered an underarm and he somehow managed to hit it for six and tie the game. Not even win. Tie.
But that would be great. It's like, see you at the Gabba. Can't wait to get you at the Gabba. And then you beat them at the Gabba. Give it, in that situation. And from an Australian perspective, they're like, you should have at least tried.
No.
Right. So,
he should have stepped inside him. But he didn't.
Let it go for wide.
He was not.
That would have been interesting if he had left it go for wide, whether they would have bowled a second underarm.
Wides are a bit different in those days too, because I don't think they're quite as tight as what they became.
Nah, you could bowl down leg and get away with that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad I watched that because I didn't realise the four at the start, the creaming of that four by Richard Hadley at the start, and set us up after needing 15.
Smith played a good hand.
He played a good hand.
Yeah.
He got 4 off 2.
And it was great to see how unfair you were on Ian Smith. That ball didn't bounce up at all, and he had a good wog at it, and he didn't miss it by much.
And the apology from you was important, I think, having a look at that. I mean, obviously we can try and rekindle some sort of communications with the great Ian David Stockley.
I think we need to deal with the KFC apology first, but...
No, that's a different issue. We'll replay that match and that commentary at a later date. I think every New Zealander, if your kids haven't seen that, you need to sit them down and you need to make them watch that, just to reinforce how much we just trust any sort of Australian.
Lest we forget.
And how much does it make you love Richie Benaud even more than you can imagine?
Oh, R.I.P.
R.I.P.